while your day is winding down. They're just getting started. This is South Coast Tonight with Chris McCarthy and Marcus Farrow. They've got you covered on all the news of the day, from local issues to politics on both sides of the aisle. This is the place where the movers and shakers come to be heard, to listen, and where they're held accountable. This is South Coast Tonight on WBSM.
And good evening. I'm Chris McCarthy. Welcome to South Coast Tonight. As always, Marcus Farrow is here as well, holding the fort down as he has been every night. We have two candidates tonight?
Yeah, so we have two candidates. Our first candidate is Shawn Oliver. So as you know, Hugh Dunn, Ward 3 City Councilor, announced his resignation a couple weeks ago here on South Coast Tonight. And since then, we've had two candidate announcements. We're having a few more. But for our first in-person, longer form interview, we have Shawn Oliver with us. Hey, Shawn, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
You had a nice time getting to know him here?
Yeah. He came early, which was great. A lot of people don't. Once you get elected, you'll start showing up late.
Right.
You'll show up. Okay, the news ends at 7:05. Okay, I'll be there at 7:04.
That's right.
So Shawn, before we get started, if you just want to, tell us about yourself. Who are you? Why are you running for city council?
Well, first and foremost, I want to tell you guys, I know that people say this a lot, but I truly love the city of New Bedford. I was born and raised there, and it's always held a special place in my heart. Being a graduate of New Bedford High School, I'm always a New Bedford Whaler. Long-term resident of the city, and with strong family ties with the school department, the youth down the South End, Council on Aging years ago. My family has been in some public service in some way, shape, or form. And I always grew up looking towards that. My father in the 90s had some attempts at City Council Ward 6, unfortunately unsuccessful. But
you tell us after you win if he was unsuccessful.
I always saw the drive that he had to make some sort of difference.
Right. And
now that I'm older and raising my family here, that drive has really boiled up inside.
So, Shawn, this is a nice opportunity. It's not often you get a special election. Not often you get an opening on the city council.
No, it is. When the election was posted last year, I really wanted to be part of that, and I wasn't able to. Personally, had a lot of things going on, but the moment that I heard of this special election, there was no second guessing. I looked at my wife, and she already knew, okay, he wants to do this.
And you were telling me you live on Upton Street?
I do, yep. Right.
And you were also telling me about trying to get onto Hathaway Road to get here. I think it's a very important story.
That part of the city, there's a lot going on for those that don't know. With the advanced manufacturing campus on Hathaway Road. I think that's a big draw to that part of the city. I think it's something that the city needs as, tax revenue, incoming tax revenue means more that we can take off the plate of the taxpayer. Mm-hmm. And but my main concern is living there. Like I told you, it took me about 12, 15 minutes just to get off my street.
It's incredible.
Because with the highway being right there and virtually no, traffic control from Shawmut all the way to Dartmouth, it gets pretty crazy. So that's my main concern in that area is how is it going to affect the residents, not of just the city, but of that particular part of the ward.
So we're speaking with Shawn Oliver. He is running for Ward 3 City Council in a special election. So Shawn, Hugh Dunn was the councilor there for almost 6 years now. He's leaving the office. The seat's open. You talked about running before, but what's your assessment on Councilor Dunn's tenure as Ward 3 City Councilor?
I mean, I don't want to get too in depth with that. I think everybody does. I think people honestly try to have the intent to do the best job that they can. I do respect the fact that he has realized that his responsibilities personally are asking too much of him, and he's being able to take a step back from the city and let somebody else kind of come in and do the work that needs to be done.
So one of the big issues that Hugh worked on, and you're a corrections officer, so you can, I think, appreciate this maybe more than other people, was the benefits packages for police officers who died or firefighters who died, on any government worker actually, right, for the city who died COVID related. There was quite a battle.
Yeah.
And it really took a special set of skills to get it. Did you follow that? And is that something you'd be willing to pick up and go forward with? How do you feel about it in general?
It absolutely is, especially like you had said, being a corrections officer, and that's something that this is something that we were ready for. So for something like that to happen to Sergeant Cassidy, which right, I knew him personally.
Okay.
He when I living in the South End, he actually lived 4 doors down.
Really? Good guy.
And he was a good guy. He was, and to see that happen, and to know that his family is not being taken care of, it does strike a chord with me, because if that happened to me,
right,
all that time and all that work that I put into my community, and now my family has to suffer, or is suffering.
Plus, it's hard to retain employees if you're not going to take care of them if they die. Truthfully, in public service, right?
I mean, we talk about service in different ways, but at the end of the day, we all want to take care of our families. So that's the whole reason why we do some of the things that we do. Mm-hmm. And like you said, so to do that work, and know that you or your family's not being taken care of, that's why do it.
How do you recruit them, right?
So we're speaking with Shawn Oliver. He's running for the open seat in the Ward 3 City Council special election. So the golf course is going to be, I think, probably the primary issue in this campaign, in everybody's campaign. But first I want to ask you, what skill set do you bring to the city council that would make you a good counselor? Okay,
well, I'm not your typical candidate, and I understand that. I don't have the campaigning and the experience as far as what it takes to run a successful campaign, but I like to think of myself as the typical resident, and that's the biggest thing for me, is being the guy on the ground, talking to the people, especially of that area that it affects directly. It affects the city in general, but the people in that ward are directly affected, and I've worked in multiple levels of management in previous employment, where I've been able to build some really good teams around me, and I've always looked to be that guy to collectively take everything from everybody in the group, everybody being the constituents of Ward 3,
right,
and being that voice that they need. And I think that's a very huge part of it. Yes, you can get into the politics and things like that, but the biggest thing is the people that put you there in the first place. And I feel if you can take care of them and listen to them, then that's going to be huge.
You said you're not well versed in campaigning. It's going to be a pretty quick turnaround from the time you got to get those signatures to January 24th. How are you going to make up for that gap in knowledge?
I mean, I have some pretty good people that I've been reaching out to. And,
like who?
And a few people that have reached out to me. I've actually spoken back and forth, had some communication with Ian Abreu.
Okay.
He knows what he's doing.
Great. He's a good guy to know.
Is Ian supporting you?
There's no endorsement there or anything like that, if that's what you're asking. But I mean,
Yes.
there is an open dialogue between myself and Ian.
Is he giving you some advice on how to run an effective campaign?
He's giving me. He's pretty open. If I can bounce, I'm able to bounce things off of him.
Okay.
So I mean, I guess.
Yes, that sounds like
yes.
he's giving you advice on a. Okay. So we're here with Shawn Oliver. So other than the golf course, obviously that's going to be the big issue of the campaign. Other than the golf course, what other issues do you think are belying the ward, and how do you plan to address them?
I mean, we have the other big thing would be the Hicks Logan area. That's been a long neglected part of the city.
Well, they did when they just brought back the redevelopment authority, right? To I think deal with that. I spoke with Mayor Mitchell about that. So, would you be a steward for that type of program that was started between Mitchell and Councilor Dunn and the rest of the city council?
That would be definitely something that I would welcome.
Okay.
I had the opportunity to drive that area a couple days ago. My wife and I drove around the ward, and we went down that way. And it's fun. It's funny because when you think of the waterfront, you think of downtown, the fishing boats and whatnot. But that's a waterfront property as well.
Yeah, the Upper Harbor. Yep, absolutely.
And it's just sitting there. And
it's underutilized and distressed.
Correct.
Yeah.
There are going to be some real developments there that are on the drawing board.
Yeah.
But you're right, it has been long neglected. There's been a lot of plans, but very little to come to fruition, quite frankly, for a variety of reasons.
So we're speaking with Shawn Oliver. He's running for the open seat in the Ward 3 City Council.
So, Shawn, one of the thing that, because it's not a ward issue, it's a city issue, which you'll be voting on. Recently, there's been a proposal to put another methadone clinic on Union Street in downtown New Bedford, in what has been targeted for a business district, right? Been a lot of investment in that particular neighborhood. It was rejected by the Zoning Board of Appeals, but that'll be obviously appealed in courts. The city council unanimously voted against it, right? They went on the record saying we're against it, but they did offer a waiver to allow the owner of the business to sell the business to a new owner, which the city council could have obstructed that, and it may have changed the plans a little bit. What's your opinion on that? What would you have done had you been there?
Well, I that's a area that I'd have to get a little deeper into. I do believe that the two, I believe it's two facilities now that we have that are filling the need for that.
Yes.
And I don't know personally if there's enough need for a third facility. That would be something that I'd have to look into a little bit more deeply. So I don't have an immediate answer on that, but it is something that I am aware of and would
but
be
the
looking
granting
into.
of the waiver, that was a pretty quickly done thing. We talked about a lot about it after the fact, right? It was on the agenda, but the granting of the waiver really angered the mayor, quite frankly, and I understand why. He felt there was a leverage point they could have gone with. Would you have done otherwise, or would you have gone along with the crowd?
Maybe I'd have to get again. I'd have to have all my ducks in a row as far as knowing what. The what's and the whatnots before I gave an answer on that. Okay. I typically am not one to just go with the crowd. Okay. But at the end of the day, too, it's again, it all falls back to listening to the people of the city. What may be, quote unquote, good for the city, or the people may not all be on board.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
So we're speaking with Shawn Oliver. He's running in the open race for Ward 3 City Council. So, Shawn, going back to citywide issues, every spring and summer, you guys are working on the budget. As someone who would vote on the budget, what type of things would you be looking for to make cuts or make additional appropriations to? What departments?
I mean, that's like the meat and potatoes of it, right? It's who gets what and how much of it do they get. So that's I like to. It's all on. Sorry, what I'm trying to say is, when you look at the grand scheme of things, as far as areas that need more funding or perhaps less funding, there definitely does have to be a balance, and that has to be understood. As far as areas that I would like to focus on, I mean, our youth and our school is where I think our future is. It's kind of like a cliche to say, the children are our future.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I'm not, so go ahead.
The children of our future are the people that will be sitting in these chairs for the years to
I'm not
follow.
leaving. I'm not going anywhere.
No.
I'm 33, so I'll be here for a
They
while.
tried to get rid of me, and I lived.
It might be a different story.
Almost. I lived.
Very big with the youth, and I think a big part of the what I'm personally going through right now is some early childhood development things that have been kind of tough to navigate.
Sure.
Yeah.
As for me being the parent, and you just, how do I handle this? Where do I go?
Sure.
Things of that nature. So
You said you're on round 2. I think people at home would find this
This
interesting.
is round 2. This is our son's 4 years old now. I thought that was
Over?
I thought I was already getting ready to retire, but
Right.
he's brought me out of retirement, so to speak, and
Right.
and honestly, that's a big driving force for me. Is what am I leaving him? My father, my grandfather, my uncle. My uncle was big time in the school department. Joseph S. Oliver was the assistant superintendent of curriculum for a while. Was the headmaster at New Bedford High School. His father was big with Councilor on Aging.
Right.
And so that's, I think our city's youth and our city's elderly are definitely things that we could help. Big thing going on with Melville Towers and
Right.
and Tripp Towers. I know that it's not in Ward 3, so I don't want to stray too much, but those are the things and the people that we need to worry and focus on.
So one of the big issues that comes up in the city council that you have direct control over, the mayor, Mayor Mitchell, has been trying to make some budget cuts. One of the things he eyes as budget cuts is insurance programs, the health insurance program for police, fire,
stole
and
my
other
question.
workers. Did I? So that's a big vote every year. Mayor Mitchell brings it up every year. He has, by my count, actually losing support on the issue. I think he may have had a couple of votes one year, but
He has lost support.
he has lost support on the issue.
Sure.
He just has not sold it for a variety of reasons. But what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, insurance is tough, man. My wife and I, we've bounced back and forth with insurances because that changes, like every year. It feels like that you're navigating some different aspect. Whose insurance are we going on this year, or who?
Right.
If she starts a new job and is her insurance better than mine, and things like that. So insurance is a big deal for people. That hits the wallet, that hits you physically, and it's just a big drain on people. And I don't think that should be something that, especially our fire, police, should be worried about. I think we need to take care of them. If we want them to do their jobs effectively, then they need to be happy, healthy, and ready to do their work. And if they can't, if people have to make a decision, do I take care of myself today health wise, or do I do this because I don't want to pay the copay, or this is going to be expensive?
Right.
Then you turn around in any aspect of business is a killer. So a big business killer would be if people aren't taking care of themselves because of health reasons or because of the cost associated with that.
Right.
So
I think you made your case.
Yeah.
So, so one more thing. What's your opinion on the weed dispensary that's going to be put in Ward 3?
That's proposed for Nauset Street. Is that correct? Yeah. So
it's been in the works for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see I've seen the benefits in some aspects. I believe that the one on Cogsall now is that up and running now?
It looks like it's about to be.
Yeah, it either is or it's going to be.
I think you can still buy a bag in the park, though, if you want.
But is it as good now?
Lamb's breath. But anyway, go ahead.
No, but I feel like it's another thing that how many of these are going to be popping up? I think it needs to take a bigger look as far as what the need is going to be. Is this something that we're going to open a bunch of them, and then in years to come they're closing doors anyways?
Right.
The basic supply and demand issue.
Right.
So I would like to see a possible, let's see what the actual demand is here versus just opening up all these doors.
Shauna, before we're running low on time, but before I let you go, I'd like to take a call. I guess we've got a call from the audience.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, you're live.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Marcus. How you doing?
Good.
I'm actually the other candidate. I'm waiting for my turn.
All right. Yeah. So,
No problem. We'll get to you in a second.
We'll get to you in a second. Sorry.
So Shawn, recently this legislature, it's a great question, Marcus, because recently the legislature changed a lot, which the city had no control over, a lot of the financial aspects that made it really palatable for communities to have the weed dispensaries. The revenue is now going to be significantly less to the city of New Bedford, which is not everyone's priority, but there will be, I think, austerity cuts in the future. So should you be elected, I think you're going to end up with less happy times on the city council.
Yeah.
If you want it.
Well, I definitely do want it, and again, the biggest thing is getting out there and listening to the people, knocking on the doors, the door knockers, and the speaking to the people in the area.
How many doors do you plan to hit?
To be honest with you, I'd like to say all of them, but
there are 10,000 registered voters in the ward.
Okay.
So how many doors are you planning to hit for this special election?
Well, I can tell you I'm going to hit as many as possible. I'm going to hit. We were just waiting for everything to be finalized, these papers to be able to be pulled, and the second that is, it's a go time. It's a full court press, and I heard you say last night, is going to be it's a quick turnaround. And it's not a marathon. It's definitely a sprint.
Yes.
But, that's why we play 9 innings, and that's why we play 4 quarters. And I'm not giving up until the end. And we haven't even started. But I'm definitely going to hit the ground running and talk to the people of the ward.
Shawn, I appreciate you coming in. We're looking forward to talking with you more as this election unfolds. And before I let you go, where can people go to learn more about your campaign?
Well, right now we're in the process of building up our website.
Nice.
Right now I've been personally heading as big of a social media campaign as
is Ian helping you with website design as well?
Yeah, not as of yet.
Okay.
I can't get him to stop talking about that Silmo coffee syrup.
Oh, the Silmo.
It's good. He ran us some on Christmas Eve last year. It's really good. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah.
he's going to have that pop up in December 3rd, and I'll be there.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I also have a direct number for the people of the ward
give it out.
and the city.
Sure.
To contact me with any questions, comments, concerns. I want to hear what it is you have to say and what it is that you're looking for in your next Ward 3 candidate.
Do you have the number with you?
Yeah, the number is 774-929-7457. And that's I'm going to be available 24/7, 365. I may not get to you the second you call, but you will be getting some correspondence back from me.
Shawn Oliver, he's running for Ward 3 City Council. And
Hey, thanks for coming in.
thanks for coming in.
Guys, thanks for having
Hope
me.
you enjoyed
Absolutely.
it.
Thanks.
Was your first time on radio?
Other than calling in, this is my first time.
Beautiful. You did a good job.
All right, thanks, guys.
You're not one of those callers that was mean to me.
No,
are you?
no,
Okay.
no.
We're going to do some council post-game here. We're joined by Council President Abreu, who's going to make an announcement on the Ward 3 election. Ian, what's up?
Marcus, Chris, how are you guys?
What's going on, Mr. President? How are you?
Good to hear both of your voices. But
Thank you.
so we just concluded our final full council meeting before the Thanksgiving holiday, and the official dates have been set officially again by the New Bedford City Council for the Ward 3 special election. The
Okay.
preliminary dates will be set for Tuesday, January 24th, and the general/final election has been set for Tuesday, February 28th. So
Okay.
again, Tuesday, January 24th for the preliminary, and the second date we set was for the general on Tuesday, February 28th. And since we acted accordingly last night, or tonight I should say, I would assume that those who are interested in running for Ward 3 can now then proceed to head down to the Elections Commission office as early as tomorrow morning and pick up their papers. They should be available.
So Ian,
Fantastic.
to that end, we just had Shawn Oliver on. We talked to him about his campaign, his platform. He had said that you had been giving him some advice on campaigning. Is he a candidate that you're supporting in this race?
No, I'm not backing anybody in this race, not at the current time. I'm not saying that I won't as things progress. As I had said in my public statement, I believe it was with you and with even Tim, and even on my social media platforms on Instagram and Facebook, I said I encourage anyone who wants to run for Ward 3 to reach out to me if they have questions or concerns, or they want to lay of the lands, or to learn about the landscape of the kind of commitment it takes. I give Shawn Oliver all the credit in the world. He was Johnny on the spot. He reached out to me right away. He asked me about the role of the council, the importance of constituent service, and I've been happy to give him my advice. I've also spoken with Jacob Ventura. He and I had a great conversation last week on the phone. I saw my friend Kathy Daner tonight, the former Ward 3 councilor. She's going to be running for the Ward 3 special.
Oh, breaking news.
Yep.
She was in the New Bedford City Council chamber tonight, in fact, just to kind of get some information and see what's going on with the council business. So she's been meeting with councilors or speaking with councilors. So she at least has expressed an interest in running for the special anyway. So she's going to be in, I believe. There's a couple of other candidates that I've spoken to.
Like
as
who?
Well, they haven't publicly announced yet, so I don't want to out them. But one of them, I believe you had written about in your article, Marcus, was Robert Bromley.
Oh yeah, he made a formal announcement last night actually in the program. He just called in.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
I know he had to get the clearance from the Rhode Island State Senate.
Yeah.
Because he works for the state Senate to be able to run. They gave him the thumbs up, so he's in. Rob's a guy I've worked with for years on the Veterans Advisory Board as a counselor. He's the one who puts on all of our Veterans Day and Memorial Day parades, so he's a good man as well. What I'm appreciative of, Marcus and Chris, and I think you folks in the media are doing a great job in highlighting it, is this is a race to take seriously. And I think so far from the people I've been speaking to, they're all taking it seriously, from Shawn to Jake to Kathy to Bob to the other individual whom I've spoken with, who hasn't announced yet, but I believe this person will be soon, and I don't want to out them on the air because
Sure.
they've got their own plan to unveil. But I think it's going to be exciting preliminary. I can't handicap this one. I really can't.
The field is starting to shape
worthy.
up.
Yeah, it really is. So, Ian, we appreciate you coming. We appreciate you coming on and calling in and giving us these important updates on the city council race. I got to hit this break, but we'll talk to you soon.
Gentlemen, have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you at Slow-Mo's Pop-Up on December 3rd.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Ian.
See you,
Thank
Ian.
you.
Listen to us live anywhere in the world on the WBSM app.
Your bills are...
WBSM isn't just a broadcast, it's also a podcast. Get all of our podcasts at WBSM.com, the WBSM app, or just search WBSM on your favorite podcast provider.
So, welcome back
It's hard to soar with the eagles when you're flapping your wings with the chickens, right? So, we got the official announcement of the election. It's no longer a question.
It's no longer abstract. It is real. It is tangible.
It's the polar plunge, Marcus.
We had a candidate scheduled for 9:45. But maybe something's happening. I guess okay. So what we'll do is we'll just move on like a troop, like just move on.
We'll bring it up when he eventually calls. By the way, he's obviously just trying to be like Hugh Dunn.
So he's gonna win. He's gonna win. Yeah, he's late. He's late, so he's gonna win. Yeah. So so we had another candidate that was.
I thought Shawn was very amiable, very nice guy.
Yeah, like a, like you said, he's more
a local guy.
Yeah, he's a local, regular guy.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he was very nice.
I liked him.
I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
Nice
guy.
Nice guy, and that counts. As if you can tell all his neighbors,
Too nice for politics.
maybe,
We'll see.
maybe. But that story is a story that his neighbors all share.
Yeah.
About trying to get on the Hathaway Road.
Well, I think that's that's going to be a center of his campaign and it's a strong issue because he has direct relatability to it, and I'm sure the neighbors who are most impacted by that know him. So I think that's a strength of his.
He's in that neighborhood there where Phil Palalogas lives. There's a lot of voters there. There's a lot of voters there.
So,
and by the way, we didn't get into it, but he was telling me off there, he's also a golfer.
He's a golfer.
And he's pretty happy with the plan that John Mitchell and the city council have come up with for that economic development over there, because they are going to preserve a lot of the golf course. He's actually one of the first guys I've heard who's a golfer who's happy with the plan, which I thought was good.
Yeah, because a lot of the golfers were not.
They're not listening.
Yeah.
No, they're not. No, I should say, they don't believe that the golf course is going to be preserved. He seemed to feel like it will. He seemed to believe it will. Which is what the plan is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's go to the phones. Good evening. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
What's going on?
How you doing?
I can't complain. You want to tell these gentlemen that I'd like to see an old-fashioned campaign where you meet the people?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to campaign.
Huh?
I think that's the best way to campaign. I think it's the only way to campaign in a local race.
I mean, I got 6 councilors in my ward, and I haven't met them yet. I know who they are, but I just haven't done a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, knocking on doors is the best way to get ahead, I think.
Pardon me?
Knocking on doors.
Right,
yeah.
right. The old-fashioned way.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, thank you, sir.
Oh, well, no, thank you. You've blown up the phone lines. I appreciate that. Phone lines are full. Thank you for the call. All right, phone lines are full. Let's go to them. Good evening.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How you doing,
my friend?
Good. You're winding up the hour, so can we go to a different topic?
Well, it depends.
Try it out.
Try it out.
Yeah, I think that Mitch McConnell and the whole gang of Democrats want to send another X amount of billions of dollars to Ukraine, and we're fighting a proxy war. My question to you and this is not being facetious. Okay, we're in for over $100 billion. How come we're not taking some land with that?
Well, because I don't think.
This isn't a queer question.
No. I would say that our primary goal right now, I'll tell you where the real money is going to be spent, not in this war, but in rebuilding the Ukraine.
Yeah, like we did Europe.
Exactly. So I think we're just getting to the start of the spending.
You tickled Chris's funny bone. He loves this stuff.
I mean, really. And we'll get Bill Keating on eventually.
Yeah.
And Jake Auchincloss to talk more about it. But
I had Jake on a couple weeks ago to talk about it, and he gave a pretty good answer to the letter for diplomatic push and all that stuff. Right. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
So I would say this, sir, that we're nowhere near. We're maybe at the tip of the iceberg for the amount of money we're going to spend over there.
Well, the reason I said that is because my knowledge is that China's buying up thousands of acres around military bases in the United States. They own a lot of the highway system. And we're still the United States of America. Ukraine would still be Ukraine, but we'd get a piece of that breadbasket that feeds the world. And I thought that might be something to look into. But my real question is this giving away. What would we call it? What the blacks want a reparation?
Can you do me a huge favor?
You're not black. Listen, and who gives the reparations to? He gives them over to these other people.
Sir, can you do me a huge favor? Can you do me a huge favor? Can you call back later in the show because I'm up against the break and I'd like to give your question a lot more time than I'm able to give it now.
Well, I appreciate that most certainly.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The news.
Good evening.
Hi, Marcus and Chris. How you doing?
Good.
Good. This is Robert Cabral. I'm sorry to interrupt your interview before.
No, it's fine. So you wanted to make... So we want candidates to call in briefly to announce their candidacy and then come in for a long-form interview. So you're announcing your candidacy for Ward 3 City Council, and your name's Robert Cabral. Tell us about yourself briefly.
Sure. I mean, I lived my whole life in Westport and Dartmouth. The last 6 years I've been in New Bedford. Last 3 years in Ward 3. History buff, always loved that, New Bedford is the whaling capital of the world. The largest seaport in the U.S., it's the scallop capital of the world. Frederick Douglass, the Underground Railroad. There's really some beautiful areas and some great history here in New Bedford, but there's also some underserved areas.
Sure.
I was an officer in the Massachusetts Army National Guard.
Okay.
My claim to fame is I was the youngest officer in the National Guard, probably all the way back into World War II. What happened is the state was so desperate for officers back in the 80s, early 80s, because of all the drawdown from Vietnam and stuff, that they actually started a program. They said, okay, you can go to OCS as long as you intend on going to college.
So down the Cape? The OCS program down the Cape?
Yep.
Okay.
Mass Military Academy,
sure.
Exactly. Yep.
So you told me you have a 25-page plan for the city?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it wasn't actually, it's just a 25-page plan on homelessness.
Okay.
That's kind of what got me going, and then I just...
Page 1, buildable home.
No. Exactly. I mean, honestly, what got me going was some articles that some of you guys wrote. That was really got me going.
Thank you.
And then it just started going from there.
So, what did you get out? What rank were you when you retired, or get out?
I was an A2. I did realize. I mean, I did 10 years. I think 8-9 years. And what happened is I was an executive officer in Fall River. I can say I was in the 101st Infantry, but it's not that one.
Right. Okay.
We had a unit, first at 101st, it was an Irish unit out of Dorchester. And we were stationed in Fall River. And I was an XO. I was next in line for the command, which was really as far as I wanted to get in the military, was just to become a CO. And